Good morning, guys. So welcome to your first lockdown, well, not lockdown, but your first remote learning lesson, take 3, I suppose. Gosh, fed up of saying that now, to be honest. So we've got a date and a volt and a context here. So in your jotter, in a maths book, in a textbook, or just a piece of paper, whatever you've got to hand. It's super last minute, this remote learning, so make sure you just grab something to write on, even if it's a whiteboard and a dry white pen. Just take a quick picture once you've finished with your work. So pause the video, and there's a question here. Start off with, after you've written your date, volt and context. What do we remember about pictograms? What do they mean? What could they tell us? Write down anything that you can remember now, and I'll get back to you in a second. Okay, following on from that first question, guys, the next question I'm going to ask you is, what do we know about bar charts as well? So I've left a bar chart up on the page. You can see some different axes and some different information. Pause the video and write down anything that you recognize, anything you know what it means. Can you explain any of it? And I'll get back to you in a second. Okay, guys, so we are going to be looking at bar charts and pictograms this week. Now, our pictogram is what we're going to be looking at today, and we will be looking at bar charts in a little bit more detail tomorrow. So to start off with, then, you can see we've got a bit of a tally here. We've got days of the week, how many different dogs we've seen, and Monday says 2 dogs. But does that actually mean 2 dogs? Is there anything else on the page that tells us that there's in fact more or less than 2 dogs? What is it that we use to determine the actual value of each one of those dogs? See if you can find it on the screen and write it down on your piece of paper. Okay, now on a bar chart, we are tracking something slightly different. So we're not tracking things across the week anymore. We're tracking different lessons, and we are tracking the amount of children that, say, perhaps like those lessons or have attended those lessons in secondary school or after school clubs, for instance. Every chart always needs a title, and that tells you exactly then what it is you are looking at. So, for instance, here we don't seem to have anything telling us anything different, usually known as a key, but we can determine that the amount of children that like to do maths after school, for instance, are 8. And what happens when the, say, music, the top of the bar falls in between one of those 2 numbers? So your next quick question, how many children is it that actually like music? See if you can work it out using the bar chart below. Okay, so let's get outside now. So obviously, if you're in isolation, make sure that you only go outside into your garden. If you wanted to do this maybe out on one of your walks with a family member, you may do this as well. Just be careful of what you're picking up. And if you live in a flat, then you can have a go at doing this maybe around your home. So we're going to have to go out and find 5 different objects. So if we're outside, it's going to be natural objects, hopefully. And if we're inside, they might not be as natural. But we want to find 5 different things that we can then plot onto a pictogram. Now, we can see here we've got a couple of different examples. We've got a leaf, we've got some bark, we've got some stones by the looks of it, perhaps even a button. And down here we've got leaves, twigs, a mushroom, an acorn, and a few other things as well. Now, if you're in your home because you are in isolation, or you live in a flat, maybe you can have a quick whiz around your bedroom or your lounge. Can you find, say, a few different toys? How many remotes are out? How many dirty socks are stuffed down the sofa? So choose 5 different things. We don't want just one of each thing. You want to try and find all of the things in that room, for instance. So if I had a look around in my kitchen now, I've got 2 lavender plants. So I would jot those 2 lavender plants down. Unfortunately, I've got 3 pieces of cutlery in the sink that I have to wash up. And behind me, I've got lots and lots of books, but I would say I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 7 books on the shelf that I can easily grab out there. So I've got 7 books, 3 bits of cutlery, 2 lavender plants. What else might I say? Oh, I've got a cup for my cup of tea as well, and I've got a jar of sweets that I got from someone in my class. Thanks, Roxy. So I'll jot all those down and then I'll build them onto my pictogram. So once you've got your items, we can just bring them back. And we, like I said, need to count each of the objects up that you've collected, and then we're going to convert that information into a pictogram. So how many columns or rows do we need for our table? What picture will we use to represent all of our data? And how many objects will each one of your pictures represent? So for instance, I will be using a little house symbol because they're all items that I found in my house or perhaps my kitchen. And I will make sure, because I'm not feeling very confident today, I'm going to make sure that one house symbol represents one picture. If I had a few more items though, let's say you found lots and lots of items out in your garden, you might want to make your say garden picture or a leaf picture, for instance, 1 picture equals 2, and that way then you don't have to make loads and loads of pictures on your pictogram, because each pictogram picture represents 2 items that you have found. You might want to make that bigger or smaller depending on your amount of things that you find. But remember, if you make them into 4, then if you cut that picture in half, how much will that equal? If you've got an odd number, for instance, you will need to think really carefully about how you cut that picture in half so it makes sense. Send a picture once you're all done. There is a challenge on there as well for you to create a bar chart. We're going to look at bar charts tomorrow, so if you don't get onto the challenge today, we will be looking at it tomorrow. Best of luck. Can't wait to see what you've done and what you've planned, and I'll catch up with you in the next lesson. Cheers, guys.